currently waiting on an appeal decision. So we support basically changing or clarifying 196.012. That's the legislation that speaks to the exemption. If they would just clarify that. The legislature doesn't want to do anything until the courts decide. In my opinion, that's backwards, but I'm not the legislature. Advanced air mobility, there's a lot of policy in integrating that into the state system. That's the air taxi basically service with vertical or short field takeoff and landing, sometimes electric airplanes, helicopters. There's a lot of talk about that. It may or may not ever come to fruition in our lifetimes, but we'll talk about it a lot, and we support studying it and making sure it doesn't affect either us or communities as they put this into effect. TNCs, last year they worked really hard to limit the amount airports were allowed to charge. It wasn't the dollar amount so much, it was just legislature that limits the amount that a group can charge another group is, it's just outside of what the legislature should be doing. We all negotiate different deals with TNCs, and we don't want anyone getting in the way. It would just open the door for other issues as well. Those are the main issues. We're also, Federal Affairs is working on reauthorization, which is the biggest thing going on. Ray was just up in Washington talking about TSA's requirement or proposed requirement for employee screening that would all fall under the airports. Just a lot of crazy little things going on, but we're all following and trying to put our 2 cents in. Any questions on that?
You might mention what a TNC is.
Transportation network companies, Uber, Lyft, Turo,
Cabs.
the cabs.
Whose idea was the aviation tenants tax, or tax on the aviation tenants?
Orange County tax collector and Hillsborough County tax collector have been fighting it. It's been fought throughout the years. There's been a lot of cases on it, but those are the two.
They're fighting it, or they're
Fighting for it.
They're fighting to be able to tax. They're fighting for the ability to tax aviation tenants.
What would that add? Do you know any percentage it would add to?
Oh, it would be significant. It's big property tax on the buildings themselves.
Holy smokes.
Okay,
Thank you.
moving on. Attorney's report.
Sir, representing the airport authority gives you a variety of things come across your desk every day. I'm pleased to announce a couple of things. Number one, unfortunately, Gulf Contours, as you know, was severely damaged as a result of the hurricane. I believe they decided to go out of business. We reached a resolution with them for departure from the building as of January 1. All the litigation has now been dismissed, and I have an entered writ of possession relative to that case. So as of January 2nd, they promised to leave, and if they don't, then we're allowed to be put back in possession of the building by the sheriff. I don't expect that's going to happen, but that's the status of it. I believe that litigation will be finally concluded. Unfortunately, Mr. Gowen's damage was rather severe. My understanding he's actually selling off his products. He had some kind of sale that I heard about. Row Hangar 2 continues to progress. I've spoken with Mr. Esch associated with the process there. We're going to be approving, or hopefully the board's going to be approving a contract today that will give us some timelines for me to plug into an agreement, or once we get a schedule, and that will be concluded. We deal with all kinds of contracts from the license to allow the B-17 to use, with the EAA to use a partially destroyed hangar for the purpose of taking apart a partially destroyed bomber and shipping it out. A very interesting process. We have any number of smaller business issues from trespassers that Mr. LaRoche has to deal with that we and that actually hire lawyers. It's just amazing to me. Continuous involvement with the insurance process. Commissioners' questions. Racetrack asked for a 3-month extension for the purposes of conducting one final event, and then also to remove product. We negotiated and entered into an abatement agreement on that. And of course, you just heard about the ad valorem process, which we continue to monitor. Other than that, nothing going on.
May I ask a question? Mr. Carr, have you been involved at all in the negotiation of the lease for the racetrack property with either of the two proposers?
I have not, and the reason is I think one of them, and this is going to be discussed later, the one that it was awarded to has withdrawn, but I believe that'll be discussed later.
Yeah, actually, we can bring that up now as part of our development update.
I didn't want to steal that.
We have entered into negotiations with the second bidder. The first one officially backed out, and their answer is they're going another direction. And we are also working with them on some other land for other uses, but for the events type center that they wanted to build, they're backing out and going another direction on that. So we had our first meeting with Motor Brothers, a very successful meeting. He's doing some preliminary engineering and going to get back to us on the total number of acres he wants to lease, and then we'll start negotiations. But we presented him a sheet, basically showing all the costs, and he was amenable to those. So I think that will be moving forward. He is also working with the Speedway to see if he can keep that on property.
Sounds good.
Hearing none, moving on, CEO's report, development update.
So the development update is pretty extensive. The commercial terminal expansion, we're currently working on a categorical exclusion for environmental for that. That'll be submitted with our PFC application, which is the next item. That will get the funding in place for the terminal expansion through PFCs, as well as BIL money and potentially FDOT money. Perimeter Road expansion is in development, and the construction of the 207 replacement hangar, as well as self-serve on the north ramp. We're finalizing the design for that, and Half Acre Construction is going to be building it and then moving it to the new location, and then we'll start the process of putting in one somewhere on the the old north ramp, which is now the mid ramp. CTC, we have today on the agenda approving selection of a consultant to do the design for that project. We're working with AECOM on some flight tracks, and Golf Course Boulevard is currently in design. That's the disconnection of Golf Course and connection of Challenger all the way through to Piper. Terminal seating is going in February. It's in production right now, and you guys approved the power poles, which will provide power to the seats. Self-serve is still in design. The new 607 hangar, the 50 by 50 box hangars are under construction now. A little bit of site work, design going on. Inline baggage system should be done in the next few months and go out to bid once we get our PFC application approved. And the new taxiway Gulf is under design. That's the one that connects the FBO to taxiway Alpha in the end of 422. Taxiway Delta construction or reconstruction will start as soon as 422 finishes, which is still scheduled for the end of the month. We sure could have used it on Sunday. Roadway network improvements is still ongoing. The new turn lane will start construction off of Piper onto Viking as soon as they get the force main removed, which I think they're about halfway completed with. Wetland mitigation is underway. That's what all the trucks are doing, driving back and forth. The box hangers, they poured the slab for the 10 60 by 60s and the 24 T hangers, as well as the 9 box hangers. They're working on slab work now. And the general aviation phase 2 is pretty much complete. We're waiting on a few items to be finished within that area, and then we'll close out that project. Is that it for?
Yes.
It's enough. I think we're driving Ron right now are crazy. He has announced his tentative retirement date, so we are actively starting the search for his replacement next month.
I'd like to ask the board members if they would be interested, either separately or in concert with a board meeting, on having a study session after the first of the year to go over all these projects. I know we all get the little sheet that kind of explains it, but there's a lot going on. I think I'm familiar with a lot of this stuff, but most board members probably aren't really intimately involved. Maybe they don't want to be in these various projects. And one of the important things is the project that AECom is doing, which is the master planning of the north side of the GA area. We haven't seen that as a board. I'm just wondering if you guys want to get together. Does that sound better?
Yeah.
I kind of liked it the other way. Well, what I'm saying is I'm asking the board members if they would like to have a study session in concert or separately a study session on all the projects right after the first of the year, because there's a lot going on here and there's a lot of expenditures of funds. There's millions of dollars that are being involved. So I'll leave it to what you guys want to do.
Yeah,
I'm seeing 2 yeses.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with all the projects, but I'll participate.
Okay, so we'll just, you want to do it separately, or do you want to do it after a board meeting? I imagine we're going to probably at least need, what, how long would you say to go through all this, Jim? About an hour and a half minimum?
Well, it depends on how in-depth we want to get into each item. Yeah.
But maybe figure 2 hours at max.
I'm open either way, after a meeting or separately.
This before or after Christmas?
Oh, after the first of the year?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think Mr. Parrish gave a 10-minute presentation on all the projects, and so I would think, maybe the meeting would be at least 5 to 6 times longer. So the 1 hour, the 2 hour, I think would be appropriate.
Okay.
But
After
We need to schedule it now or schedule it in January?
let's schedule it in January.
I mean, you want to schedule it during our January meeting? Okay. We'll pull up a few dates and then provide them in January.
There we go.
Okay.
February meeting, you all got a tentative schedule on meetings. So February, you're doing concert in February meeting, not February 16th.
The light's off again.
How did it go on? Faulty equipment. Is this low bidder?
Yeah, everything is.
Look. Low green.
It's supposed to be green.
We got an IT guy on that.
Yeah,
No,
help
he's
me.
red.
Ah, see, it's not my fault.
All right, well, we can move on while we replace his batteries. To the marketing update.
That didn't sound very good. Replace my batteries, did it?
Ms. Miller?
Okay, I'll speak louder than the intern. We're going,
Well, we're going to go into marketing.
marketing update.
Thank you. I have in your board packet, can you all hear me? Okay. The summary of what we did in November. I want to thank the commissioners and your families and the Canine Comfort crew for coming out to the parade and participating. It was a lot of fun, the Charlotte County Chamber's Christmas Parade downtown Punta Gorda. Seems like y'all had a great time, and it was a wonderful parade for the community as well. So thank you for participating in that. So the month ahead, we'll be continuing to communicate to remind people to arrive early. A lot of folks still think we're a little airport that's sleepy in the mornings, and we know we're not. We're very busy. So we'll be working to keep educating the community about arriving early. Sun Country started their service in December and going through April, so we're doing some digital advertising in the Minneapolis market to support that. And we're continuing conversations with Sun Country to encourage them to continue the route, increase the route, add more routes, and so we'll be working with tourism to support that even more in the future. Also coming up, as James mentioned, runway 422 will be opening again in early mid-January, and so we need to remind our community that that primary runway will be reopening, and that's why he mentioned the flight tracks with AECom, and we're trying to get some more graphically pleasing illustrations of where the planes will be coming and going, so people have a better idea of where the flights are most concentrated and where overflights may be throughout the community. And if you're around the airport, you're going to see planes. And so that's the message we need to communicate with our neighbors and friends, that, you know, if you live near an airport, you're going to see planes.
Guess what?
Guess what? So we'll be working on that, and we got good news from the FDOT. They're working on releasing the economic aviation, what is it called?
Impact
The
statement.
impact statement for all the statewide airports, and they did specific reports on each airport in the state.
I passed out
Oh, good.
a copy for each of you to review. Our economic impact increased about $500 million over the 3-year period.
Up to $1.7 billion. So when that becomes official and the FDOT puts that out, we'll put out a news release as well.
So that's community, in the community?
Right, it
Wow.
includes our airport direct impacts, and then they have indirect and multiplier impacts. So it looks just beyond our airport to our suppliers, to tourism, to the employees that are basically employed because of the airport, you know, all the partners that we work with. So that shows that economic impact is beyond just our 2,000 acres here.
That's
So it's-
phenomenal.
It is great. It's
Wow.
great news to share, so we'll be
Yeah.
sharing that news as well.
Should be headlines in the paper.
Yes. Any questions? Right.
No,
Well, let me know if y'all have any questions. I'll be happy to help you out in the future. Thanks.
Aviation report, Mr. Duncan.
Yes, good morning. So November 2022, what we're seeing is still a lot of the lingering effects from the hurricane. So our operations were down, and as compared to the previous 2021 in October or November, we had a lot of ops that, as you could tell by that bar, which included Sun Country started in November 2021, where this year they're not starting their operations until December. So as Kaylee indicated, we're glad to see them back, and things are going well there. But again, we're still seeing and feeling a lot of the impacts from the hurricane. Next. Passengers were down as compared to the previous year for the month. However, we're still on track to have our strongest year ever in passengers. We'll probably eclipse or get really close to about 1.8 million total passengers for the year. And you'll see all of the fuel categories are down this month, or for the month of November as compared to the previous year. And what we're seeing is a number of operators that were impacted by the hurricane. They're not flying, or they're flying very limited flights. And we're also seeing what we call our snowbird visitors. That group is down. So what we did, we called around to some of our neighboring airports to see if it was just us or if everybody, and sure enough, it's everybody from Naples all the way up to through Punta Gorda. So we're hoping we'll see a little bit stronger numbers come December. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Agenda item 13, new business. Item A is assigned to me, the liaison assignments. I'll ask the existing board members, everybody happy where they are? You want to stay where you are?
That was easy.
That was easy. Okay. Show the assignments as they existed in 2022 in the minutes. Okay, item B, Veterans Airlift Command. Mr. Fricke?
Mr. Walt is in the
Yeah,
audience.
Walt's
I'd
here.
love for him to make the presentation.
Yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity for both Veterans Airlift and the Punta Gorda Airport and our new air center. So I'll let you talk. Thank you, sir.
Well, you might tell some folks a little bit about your background.
I'd rather not waste any time. I got 5 minutes.
All right.
Thanks. Veterans Airlift Command is a nonprofit 501c3 formed about 15 years ago to provide free private air transportation to combat wounded veterans and their families for medical or other compassionate purposes through a national network of volunteer aircraft owners and pilots. We've got about 2,700, 2,800 private aircraft owners around the country that volunteer for us, fly their private jets and turboprops and twin-engine airplanes to provide this service. We've flown about 20,000, just over 20,000 passengers since we began the work. I'm the founder. I also have a foundation, and we do the foundation side, air show performances and that sort of thing to promote the work of the Veterans Airlift Command, and we've performed here a number of times over the years in the air shows. It occurs to me that we ought to make Punta Gorda, since we're residents of Punta Gorda for the last 10 years, the home of the Veterans Airlift Command, and I see some benefit to us in terms of presence at the FBO, a kiosk, and a way to recruit pilots and that sort of thing. But I also see a benefit to the community, to the Airport Commission, to have kind of a good news story. We get good press. I don't know if you remember 5 or 6 years ago, we were front page, top of the fold in the Sun here with a great article done by someone, and it ran on Christmas Day, and she was so upset because nobody reads a paper on Christmas Day that she redid the story, and they ran it 2 weeks later, front page, top of the fold. So Veterans Airlift Command is a great story. It's the best of America, the people that fly for us and do this work. So I think there's an opportunity here to create some really good PR for the airport in the community. It's a great feel-good story, and by the partnership is kind of a strong legal term, but you know, sort of a PR partnership, if you will, where we promote the work of the Veterans Airlift Command and its home, the Punta Gorda Airport, Charlotte County Airport, PGD. So that's sort of the idea, and I think, you know, we could do a great press story, press release. I'd love to have a spot on your website and a kiosk in the lobby at the FBO where we can recruit new pilots and promote the work of the Veterans Airlift Command. But I think it'd be good for the community, good for the airport in terms of a relationship with the community. This is a heavily veteran-populated area, as you know. So I think this would be, you know, to offset some of the other things that, you know, this airport actually gets pretty good press. I track this stuff around the country, and you guys actually get pretty good press, but you understand that airports are kind of a target. And this is something I think that could be useful and helpful. And we've talked to the management about the couple of things we could do. One of which is I'd be happy to host a reception of the Airport Commission and maybe some local dignitaries and so forth. There's a documentary done about us. It's on Netflix or someplace, but it's an hour long, and we could show that maybe at the museum, in the theater, and bring the community together and host a reception. That's just an idea, but I think primarily to have the presence in the FBO, some sort of press coverage and so forth would be a great way to start.
So what I'm asking for is just approval to work on a partnership with them to put a kiosk, some advertising in the FBO, put them on some of our rolling digital displays in the FBO. So they can get pilots coming through to sign up, to kind of give some light to their organization through our airport and give them a home. And I think it's exciting opportunity for us, exciting opportunity for them. And I think that's really what general aviation is here to do, is help everybody. So, you know, with the board's approval.
Yeah,
I don't think we need a motion. I think we'd all be in agreement
Absolutely.
to have James and Walt Fricky get together and develop a partnership. We'd probably have to have some kind of a legal agreement.
I would request that you make that form of motion.
You want a motion?
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Rather than you assume everybody's in agreement, that might be best. Just from the tax.
The chair will entertain a motion to establish a partnership between the Charlotte County Airport Authority, Punta Gorda Airport, and the Veterans Airlift Command, details to be worked out by staff.
Mr. Chair, I move that the board approve the authorization of our CEO to enter into a partnership agreement and negotiate same with the Veterans Airlift Command as presented.
Mr. Chair, I second that motion.
Have a motion and second as stated. Any further discussion?
No, I just want to pick your brain later. I have so many questions. So if you're hanging around.
Okay, over here.
Thank
I'll have
Hearing
some
none.
brochures in the back, too.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Okay, Mr. Parrish, item C.
Item C is building 607, 9-unit box hangers that we've already approved the vertical part of the addition, the change order from 5 to 9. This is for the site work, the additional utilities and drainage required. $240,346.69.
69.
Mr. Chair, I move approval that, or move that the board approve change order number 6 in the amount of $240,346.69 as presented.
And
Mr. Chair, I second the motion.
second, and this is with AECom.
No, this is with Stellar
Stellar.
Construction.
Oh, okay, the hangar people.
Yes.
Motion made and second to approve change order 6 for the 50 by 50 box hanger for utility work. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. I guess we got that.
Item D is the perimeter road phase 2. We'd like to award the design of the perimeter road to Kimley Horn. We have negotiated a scope and fee and done an independent fee estimate. The amount is $353,026 for the design. This project has been moved forward so we can utilize some bipartisan infrastructure bill money. That'll be 90% bill money and 10% passenger facility charge.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that the board approve and authorize the CEO to execute a contract with Kimley Horn in the amount of $353,026 for the work as presented herein.
Second the motion.
Okay. Motion made and seconded to execute a contract with Kimberly Horn in the amount of $353,000 for phase 2 of award and design contract for the road. Any further discussion? I have one question. Who does our the engineering review on the fee?
We use multiple people. We kind of
Pass it around?
pass it around.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I look at them pretty good myself.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Same sign, motion carries.
The next item is the design, an award a design contract for the replacement hangar for 207. AECom has been doing all of those hangars, the 50 by 50s and the 60 by 60s. So we negotiated a fee with them. And to do that design, then we'll go out for bidding and construction after that. So $144,725. That is all airport money.
Oh,
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that the board approve and authorize the CEO to execute a contract with AECom in the amount of $144,725 as presented.
Mr. Chair, I second the motion.
Motion second to approve a amendment with AECom for replacement design. I believe it's for hangar 207, which will be eventually torn down and replaced by these new 6 hangars. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
The next item is the design of the CTC facility. Under the grant, we had to go out and select a design firm. We went out for bids. We had 6. They were scored. CNS Engineering was #1, a firm that we've been talking to a lot. Kind of excited to have them on the airport and see what they can do. So we've selected them. We have not negotiated a contract with them. That will be next.
Is it a Florida company?
National.
It's a national company, the office that will be doing the works in Florida, yes.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that the board authorize staff to begin development of the scope of work, fee, and schedule with the top-ranked firm of CNS Engineers, Inc., as presented.
Second.
I second the motion.
We got Mrs. Coppola seconded. Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to authorize staff to move forward with developing scope of work for replacement of the CTC aviation tech hangar and facility. Any discussion?
Sounds interesting.
I do have a question. Have they ever designed?
Yes, they've designed 2 very similar projects.
Okay, hearing no other further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
The next item, the terminal design. In order to take advantage of some of the funding that's available in the bipartisan infrastructure bill, we need to be able to have dollars, the actual cost in place by next year. Under the normal design bid build, there's no way to meet those deadlines. The FAA is encouraging us to go with another approach that will get us there. We did design build on the original terminal, it worked out really well. So I'm asking the board for permission to do a design build RFQ to go out for the design and construction of the new commercial terminal. Now, obviously, we're just going to select a firm and negotiate a fee for design. Then there will be a contract that would come to the board, and then again for construction. But this is the only way we're going to meet the deadlines given to us by the federal government. And we are still relying on the FAA to approve our categorical exclusion for environmental assessments. I'm confident that we'll get it, but that is not a guarantee. But this will at least let us move forward with the design.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Sounds good.
I move that the board approve a design build RFQ of the terminal expansion project to meet the urgent needs of the FAA as presented.
Mr. Chair, I second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to move forward with a design build approach for expansion of the commercial terminal, the airline terminal. Any discussion? I just have a general comment that this is something that we need to be looking at, like in the study session. You know, we have no no vision of where you guys are going with this. And so I think we need, as we get into it, we need to be kept abreast of where it's going and what's going to happen and what we can do, because we have very limited real estate to do things. So just a precautionary note. But all in favor with the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. So good luck. Yeah.
The next item is our rewards program for frequent parkers. As we discussed last year, we are sunsetting the parking pass program, which was put in place when we had a completely empty parking lot. And we told the board we'd bring back a frequent parking or parking rewards program. And I'm going to bring our terminal manager and parking manager, Beth, up to explain this exciting new program, which I will tell you will allow more people to benefit, and also not, it will discourage long-term storage of vehicles on the airport.
Well, that's my presentation. So.
All right.
Good morning, Commissioners and James. I'd like to present a new parking rewards program for our customers with an effective date of January 1st, 2023. Little history first. When the annual and monthly pass program started, the discount program that we have now, several years ago, we had many vacant parking spaces, and it was a win-win for customers and us. Through the years, our passenger traffic has increased, utilizing parking spaces.
Beth, talk into the mic.
Sorry. And so essentially now parking spaces are at a premium. We don't have as much vacant spaces. So, and through the years, the annual pass holders have, yes, used it as a storage facility, upwards of 10 months, resulting in flat tires, dead batteries, and our team is happy to go out and help with that, but it does get comprehensive. So with that being said, we're excited to announce this new program. And like James said, it has a much broader reach to more customers. So for example, if a monthly pass holder parks they have to park within that 1 month. This program will allow them to park throughout the year, submit receipts, and be reimbursed. So in summary, a customer that spends $264, which is 4 weeks of parking, $66 a week, they submit receipts to a general email address, and they get reimbursed for 1 week, which is $66. So, and they're able to save about close to $400 a year if they utilize it. And it was originally set up for frequent customers, not storage. So I have some of the cost comparisons if you have any questions.
I have a question not related, somewhat related to this. Have you developed any type of statistics that show the occupancy rate of the parking lots in relationship to the pavement we have? Because what I get is a lot of questions. Boy, we don't like parking out in the grass. And I understand that's a holiday type thing and all that. But at some point in time, we're going to have to address that. I don't know, are we continually running 70% of capacity, or do we have some? I'm just using numbers. Do we have anything like that?
It's 3 times a year.
We get the guidance on it's time to buy asphalt.
Well, about approximately 3 times a year, 4th of July, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, we do exceed our asphalt parking. And we work hard to accommodate all customers that come. Thanksgiving, James was like, we're not going to turn anybody away. RSW, they turned folks away. They had no parking available. I think St. Pete, same thing. And we don't want to do that, so that's why we create these grass locations. And we do the best that we can. And yeah, it's something to look at in the future, I believe, and James is looking at that.
I think if you look at a monthly comparison, we're at under 50% utilization of parking. Now, we do get busy on Thursday through Sunday, but the parking lots are empty, especially the new lot, which is 1,000 spaces. It's generally empty. So yes.
Well, that's good information to have.
If you come here on July
Next week.
2nd or next week, you're going to park in the grass, and staff's been out there working on mowing, and hopefully this rain this afternoon doesn't flood our lots, but it always seems to happen that we have 6 weeks of dry weather and then a flood the day before we start using overflow parking.
True.
And customers need to be aware of that we're providing shuttle service from those
We
further
announced
lots.
that on online, on Twitter, on everything that we use, social media.
There's always somebody that never gets. the
Oh,
word.
there is always someone.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions of Beth?
There was talk several years ago about building a building for parking. Is that,
Garage.
yeah, parking garage?
So right now, costs have increased for surface parking to probably around 4,000 a space, maybe even a hair bit
Is
more.
that right?
Garage parking, the cheapest I have seen was in Asheville, and that was a few years ago, was $16,000 a space. The
Holy
latest one
Around 20.
was in Chattanooga was $32,000 a space. And they lost, you know, to build a 700 space garage, they had to take out a 300 space surface parking. So it was only a net of 400 for $30,000 a space.
Not cost effective.
It is, well, we would have to borrow money and we would be paying it off for a long time, and it just doesn't fit our
Doesn't work.
model. We will be buying a few new buses this year because our buses are older and used, and the ones the county gave us are iffy at best, and the doors blew off of them in the hurricane, so.
Yes, they did.
You have a convertible now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the recommended PGD parking rewards program.
Go ahead.
Oh,
What's that noise I heard? Who was
I
it?
make a motion that the board approves, board approval to authorize the PGD parking rewards program as presented.
A second.
We have a motion second to authorize the new PGD parking rewards program. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Great job, Beth.
Yeah, terrific.
Very good job.
Okay. Anyone wishing to address the board at this portion? We have a representative from the school board. Can't remember.
Good morning, board members. My name is DeLynn Bennett, and I'm the director for Charlotte Technical College. I just want to take a minute of your time to thank you very, very much for all your support to Charlotte Technical College and Charlotte County Public Schools for our aviation technology program at CTC. I'm very happy to report now that, if you don't know, we have our power plant certification, and we are also starting to test our graduates for airframe. Some are leaving right now to be placed into jobs, and we're just very excited about the direction that we're going, working with Mr. Parrish. Thank you very much.
Very good.
Awesome. Thank you.
I will mention that two of the people helping us move the airplane off the runway that was stuck on Sunday are students of hers, and they were, although they're employees of ours, and we're probably going to lose them at some point in time, it was nice to hear them talking about all the parts of the gear, and they understood everything about it. And so obviously the program is good, successful, and as long as she doesn't steal too many of our employees, we're very happy about it.
Can I ask one question? There used to be a program in the high school, in the Punta Gorda High School, aviation. Do they still have that? Because, my oldest daughter took that course. She loved it. From flying and everything. Or is it too scary with insurance and all that?
That program was under Embry-Riddle, and we contracted Embry-Riddle to
facilitate it?
here under their Part 147. But now we have our own Part 147.
Oh, okay.
And so that's a great asset for the county to have our own Part 147.
Sounds
We
good.
do have an aviation fabrication program that we use as a theater program to bring our high school students, starting in grade 9, up through that theater program.
to feed them into general as a senior. So we have seniors coming into the general portion of air training.
I'm bringing it.
Oh, that's terrific, because I have other grandchildren attaining that age. Yeah, that's terrific, thank you. She loved it. She loved it.
Any other public comments to the board? Seeing no one, we'll move on to commissioners' comments. And I guess you have in your packet a list of proposed meetings for 2023. You want to all look at it and
Yeah, they were.
they were approved?
That's just a copy for you. That was approved last month.
Was I here?
Yes.
Okay.
In spirit.
Commissioners' comments.
Just like to thank everybody for being here and wish everyone a very Merry Christmas.
One quick question. Are we doing an ethics workshop in January? Don't we usually have one of those?
Yes, I think our attorney is going to put it on at our regular meeting.
Oh, great.
Haven't talked to him about it yet.
You're voluntelling him?
You know, I'm surprised. I would note in, is that on?
Green light. You have a green light?
I do. I would note, I wasn't here last month. Our meetings are normally the fourth Thursday.
Third.
Third, okay. All right, well, I won't be here at the January 19th meeting, I apologize.
So then we may not be having an ethics workshop on January the 19th.
Got it.
Are you referring to our workshop relative to public records and all?
Public
Yes.
records. And,
Correct.
Yeah.
well, we can move that to February.
Okay.
Otherwise, just Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year to everyone. I wish you all the best.
Mr. Hurston.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope everybody has a good one. And staff, great job again, unbelievable. But it's good to see, we had the County Commissioner Deutsch in the audience and the City of Punta Gorda Councilman. But we got three of our great engineer firms sitting in the audience. It's always good to see you guys. But other than that, once again, Merry Christmas. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Me? I had a great time at the Christmas parade. Several of us were there, and we had service dogs on the float with us, and a few other interesting people. And we're just very well received when we go out there. And of course, we were giving out little candy things too, which made the kids happy. But it was a great day, beautiful weather, and I really enjoyed, this is probably my 29th or 30th, not quite sure, Christmas parade here. So I enjoyed it. Thank everybody who put that together. The float, the sign was gorgeous. Did you have, yeah, it was a beautiful sign. And everybody loved it. It was a beautiful day. So Merry Christmas all.
Okay, I'm glad to be referred to as interesting people on the floor. And we don't know whether we got a trophy or not. They're announcing in December. You should know.
I was there with Commissioner Andrews and our chairman and myself.
Okay.
And
Thank you all
Mrs.
for
Oliver.
coming and bearing with us over this past year. We'll start a new year off in January. I want to say Merry Christmas to everybody. We're done.
be careful going out there. It's
Yeah, there's severe weather.